So Alejandro is a Galician data nerd, now based in Madrid. He ditched BI consulting for the startup world and never looked back. For the past 2.5 years at Roadsurfer, he has turned Metabase into the engine powering a data-driven culture, one well-educated and self-sufficient team at a time. And that's what Alejandro will show us now, how to do that for ourselves. So with that, take it away, Alejandro.
Now you can hear me, everyone, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Robert, for the introduction. I think I'm gonna quote my favorite thing. Can you see my screen? Yes. Perfect. So my name is Alejandro, but I like the topic of the Alex's session because I prefer Alex. Alejandro is for my mom when she's yelling at me. So I think everyone in the room can call me Alex. I prefer that. And as Robert said, I'm a team lead of the data analytics department in Roadsurfer. But before jumping into, let's say, the nitty-gritty of the presentation about me, I studied computer engineering, and then I started working in the consultancy companies for really, let's say, big, all stylish companies where I was only dedicated to visualization tools. I was not even aware what an ETL means. And then when I jumped to product organizations, more startup style, is when you need to be really brutal hands-on, right? And get end-to-end into the data. And I started to learn a lot in a company and prop tech startup called Spotahome here in Madrid, around 100 employees at that time. And then is when I started to see the potential of Metabase. As you see, open source startups, we are not paying for absolutely anything. So as much open source as we can. And then we introduced like this self-serving, let's say, stylish into the company, especially because we were really few people at that moment. And then 4 years after, moved to Roadsurfer, and from 100 employees to 1,000 employees with a really, really different, let's say, setup, culture, size of the company, right? And this is what I would say one of the biggest challenges. What kind of learnings from a really small startup I can put into a scale up, right? And so talking about what is Roadsurfer, Roadsurfer is a camper van company which main business is on the rental side, right? So let's say that if I am a Roadsurfer customer, the first thing that I will do is rent a camper, and then during my road trip, I can also book a spot to park my van, right? For example, in Spain, it's illegal to camping outside of special areas dedicated for that. So for sure, I would need to use my spot app, right? And then after the rental experience, if you really enjoy it and you want to still, let's say, verify what is to live the camper van lifestyle, you can subscribe also with the Roadsurfer app business. And this is for more long-term periods of road trips, like 3, 6 to 12 months or something like that. And then at the end of the day, you decide to say, okay, I want to sell my apartment, or I will finish my rent contract and I'm gonna move into living in fully into a camper van. You can also buy it with my Roadsurfer business. So let's say that mainly it's covering the whole camper van ecosystem, right? And if we were talking at the beginning about 1,000 employees, this is lead because Roadsurfer is present in 16 countries, all around Europe, United States, Canada, and this is mainly more than 90 stations when customers can pick up the vans, right? And about the people that is behind of the data analytics culture, I think I hopefully gonna see in the chat some hearts and claps, because without these main people, it's impossible to do nothing, I can tell you. And this is mainly data scientists, analysts, and analytics engineers of Roadsurfer that I'm really proud of to work with them. And our vision mainly, when I joined Roadsurfer, what I identified, let's say, is a really slow down company in terms of data analytics, right? We were in all function visualization tools with a specific languages. So we try to move to a more modern data stack, almost everything based on SQL. So also it's easier to everyone to get data, to build dashboards. It's easier to hire team outside. I think we were 4 people when I joined. Today we are around 14. I already lost the count, sorry. So our vision is to start to remove this bottleneck of old-fashioned visualization tools that try to bring self-service to the company. So the data analytics team can be exposed to the more, let's say, advanced sides of the data, and no one is asking this beautiful question now, can you export this data for me, please? So now we wanted to try to build this culture where people is doing this kind of things from themselves, and we are not the bottleneck anymore, right? I think it's a key thing when you are in a fast-paced environment like Roadsurfer or like any other startup, right? I think time is critical. You need to move fast. You need to make decisions fast. And this is exactly what we aim to be in the moment that we decide to be such a big team, right? And then, as I said, for me, the key thing of a data analytics team like this one is to focus on the more advanced things. And please, anyone asking about casting a string to a number in an Excel report, right? So we put Metabase into the company. I have, as I mentioned, I have previous experience with Metabase in a smaller company, and we bring Metabase to Roadsurfer. So I think the easiest thing inside Metabase, rather than building a report, is to put Metabase in place, I would say, right? And then, so once we have the tool in place, is the moment, okay, the real challenge now is how we make people migrating from our previous visualization tools to Metabase, make them engage to them, and ensure that they are getting the right data in the right way, right? So we start this kind of culture of training, and letting people how to get their own reports inside Metabase, to understand what kind of tables we have available, what kind of fields we have available. And I can tell you that there's plenty of data points out there. And also listening a lot what kind of needs they used to have, right? And what kind of things they are not using anymore in our old-fashioned dashboards, let's say. I think this is the aim of stop listening to I don't trust this data, or I don't know where this data is coming from, for example, right? I really like this word. Is part of our core values inside Roadsurfer, which is trustity, and it's part of trust and honesty. So if you're hearing me that a lot, I almost think that this is a new English word, and this is why I'm using it a lot, okay? So we build the Metabase Academy, and how we divide this academy is between a beginner level academy and a pro level, or beginner level course, sorry, and a pro level course, okay? And the differentiation between this both is like the beginner level is a more, let's say, basic query builder approach. You are introduced to the Metabase elements that you probably already know, the collections, the questions, the dashboards, which tables we have available, the description of the tables, how to navigate through Metabase. So really basic things, right? And then inside the query builder, more related with zoom, count, and these kind of things. And then more in the pro level is when we get into the how to join two tables, how to create custom expressions. I think the other day I have a question from someone like in our Metabase support channel that they were like asking how I can measure the age of the vehicles, right? So they need to get a date diff between two dates. And of course, you need to custom expressions, but he was a beginner level certification guy and not a pro one. So this is the first thing that I say is here it is explained in our training, right? And the main rule for, let's say, controlling the governance in our Metabase is like only people that is certified in one of the course can use the query builder of Metabase. The rest of users can only, let's say, interact with dashboards or reports that are already pre-built, or mainly by the data analytics team or by any other Metabase certified user, okay? and about how people can get the certification. So inside our Roadsurfer in-house academy, we have these courses, and then you have like the main introduction of the content. Then after the content, after reading all the content, ensure that you understand the content, you have the quiz, let's say the final exam of the course. And then when you pass the final exam, you get your certification. And what we are doing right now is also to ensure that anyone is saying, yes, I'm going to do the course, but then at the end of the day, they are not doing it. We are granted like a 14 days trial period. And then everyone that is not completing the course in that trial period, we remove them the access to the query builder, and they become a viewing user that can only interact with the dashboards. Okay. And of course, we also grant second opportunities. We can understand that sometimes there are other priors in the business. Okay. And then now that we have people certified and they can query and they can send reports to absolutely everyone into the company, it comes the challenge of how we ensure that people is not looking at 6 different numbers of revenue, let's say, right? So one of the main elements that we are using is the feature collections inside Metabase. So the feature collections is where, for us, is a curated place where people can fully trust what they are seeing, because our dashboards and reports that are done, maintained, and validated by the data analytics team, right? So this is, let's say, if the main source of truth, if you want to look at one number, right? Secondly, we have the DNA collections, the data analytics collections. So if you look in the left side, I don't know if you can see my mouse, if I open this, yeah. So here is an example of the marketing department, right? So in the DNA collections, we are also building ad hoc reports for them that doesn't need to be like an official dashboard for the company. It just needs to be like an ad hoc thing for them, but we don't want them to modify our logics of the report, right? Just in case they're messing it up. So this collection tag as DNA, they can view everything that is inside there, but they cannot modify or move the report to another collection in absolutely way, right? But then, like, to create a playground for them for all the metabases that are certified, and they can query, make any query in the query builder, we have the self-service collections. So in the self-service collections, every department can save their own reports, share it with colleagues, apply their own logics, whatever is needed. So this is the way that we try to differentiate about the trustity of dashboards and what is important for cross-validation numbers, right? And then about how any content of Metabase becomes verified with the tag of verified. So the first thing is the content is developed by Metabases, mainly by data analytics team, right? Which is the official content that we mentioned before. But even inside our team, we have to verify that content. We don't allow to anyone to publish them and say, no, this is verified, but it's verified based on what? So they develop the content. Then there is an analyst that is peer reviewing the content. And once the peer review is done, is when the administrator can put the verification toggle into the content. Can be a question or can be a dashboard. And this is the process that we follow in order to ensure that the content is properly verified. If we are talking about creating pull requests and these kind of things in the previous meeting, then I will do mine today about, please, I need control versioning of the questions and see how to modify absolutely everything so I can ensure that people is validating the content. And then what we did also is, okay, we did a really fancy thing about collections, verify content, but is this truly working after migrating from a previous visualization tool to Metabase? So we are listening our users really carefully, right? So what we are seeing is that 81% of people is using Metabase daily. If not, the rest is more like twice, 3 times a week. And what I really like is in our previous visualization tool, we have 100 active users. Now in Metabase, we have double of users, right? So people is more willing also because of the easy way of doing things, they are more willing to be engaged with our visualization tools and the data of the company. And then almost every of them, 73%, is declaring that they are making better decisions that they used to do with the previous visualization tool, and the remaining people is not because they are doing right now worse with Metabase, it's because they're having exactly the same feeling, let's say. And from all our user database of users in Metabase, 58% is already trained and ready to get data by themselves. And for us, this is a benchmark, of course, that we want to overcome much more. And for that, this is our next steps that we are going to do in Roadsurfer, because the training that we did, it was quite generic. And I think that it has a really good satisfaction score. So what we want to do now is dedicating trainings by department. So one training in Metabase for marketing, just also using tables related with the marketing department. And also one of the things is our stakeholders used to complain that they don't have enough dashboards. Now, because we can build things so fast in Metabase, we have too many dashboards. So the conclusion is we need to consolidate dashboards now and try to bring information in as less place as we can. And I think one of the learnings that we are getting to is less is more sometimes. And finally, what thing that I really like it, I know that it's not going to be something that the stakeholders are going to be able to look at, but I know, guys, that you were seeing that Metabase is working in a glossary. So hopefully this is something that we can share with the stakeholders some moment. Because right now, one of the main feedbacks that we are receiving is, I don't understand how this KPI is being defined, right? So I was sharing in the chat before that one of the initiatives that we have is every dashboard contains a README tab. And in this README tab, we have a markdown with all the dashboard and metrics explained. But at the end of the day, it can be obsoleted because we are modifying dashboards so fast that at the end of the day, it could be obsoleted, the documentation. And we need more like a central place instead of going inside every dashboard to look at how the metrics are defined. So we are going to create a glossary soon. Probably, if it's not inside the Metabase feature, it must be in an Excel file, but something we needed for our stakeholders. And then one for me, an ongoing commitment. I think this is the perfect match between what data analysts are doing in Metabase, but also how analytics engineers and data engineers are supporting that vision. Because at the end of the day, Metabase is like a SQL client, and most of the performance is based on our own data warehouse and our own database. So we really need to work on having really, really good bases where Metabase can read from, let's say. And this is one of our best, let's say, our most important things or core things right now in the company, being able to see the dashboards are loading in less than 3 seconds, let's say. And also to increase, like we were talking at the beginning about trust, about this core value that Roadsurfer has called trustity. So in order to also increase that trustity, we decide to create the data analytics newsletter. And also in this newsletter, we are sharing content from Metabase, sometimes YouTube videos about the new releases, about new features that are coming, so people keeps up to date about what they can do with Metabase. And finally, but not least, the best marketing department ever seen, which is the Roadsurfer one, I would say, I've created a special code for all attendants today. So if you want to experience the road trip adventure, you can use this code of Metabase 26 in the website. Okay. So thank you to everyone. I think I really enjoy. Thanks for Metabase having me today, and hopefully we will see each other in some meetups.
Thank you so much, Alex. I will call you Alex now then. That was great. I really enjoy how you set this all up, and I think a lot of people in the chat were sharing sort of similar pains about how to transition people to Metabase, and also just asking more questions, I guess, more not so much about the process, but about their own issues. But one question that I flagged here is that I think you answered, but I just want to make sure: are those courses already available, or are they still in development?
They are already available. We already did the first iteration, and then the results that I was showing in the survey is from all these people that have been done the course, and of course also people that didn't do the course, but is now just interacting with Metabase. They cannot get data by themselves, but they are interacting. So yes, I think I shared before 58% of the people already completed the course and is getting data by themselves.
Great, yeah. And so actually I had this question too about how people perceive this. Is this something they appreciate, or do they feel that they're adding a bit of overhead to this process?
So I think one of the feedback that I love the most when I launched the survey, because the survey is also, again, for people that has not permissions to get data because they didn't complete the previous course, and they are saying we want more trainings. So for example, right now it's an offline training, right? So you join the company, you have the content, you see the videos, you read the descriptions, and you do the exam by yourself, right? But what people is asking is more trainings and be with us present in the room explaining Metabase, right? And explaining our dashboards. So it's totally the opposite. They are not overwhelmed. They want more. They want more. And I think we need to start to put this kind of interactions with Metabase users more into our own data analytics roadmap in the company.
Mm-hmm. And actually, just a question just came in that I think fits very well here is what's the analytical level that you expect or require for your colleagues to participate in the training, or is it open to anyone in the company?
0 level. And I can tell you, is insane. Like, for example, in Roadsurfer, the way that the data analytics team is working with the company, let's say, because at the end of the day, we are a central team, right? We are supporting the whole company. We are supporting these 15 people that you see in the first slide or third slide is supporting the 1,000 employees that is on the ground, let's say. So I can tell you that we cannot be one-to-one supporting them. And it's insane since we launched the Academy, how we are seeing departments that are barely interacting with us because they are totally self-sufficient with the usage of Metabase.
Excellent. Yeah, this is really great. Well, thank you so much again. This was really interesting. Really appreciate you taking the time to give this talk. It was really interesting, and even sharing code with us so that you even get something from this presentation if you sign up. So that's amazing. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so
we're
much,
now
guys.
a little bit. Thank you.